that Women of Reverence is hosting. We have had a wonderful time with our speakers. These women have been amazing. And today is no difference with Heidi Strong. She is going to be speaking to us that women of reverence are called to be women that respect their husbands. Don't switch off your computer. I can assure you, it really is a good one. Heidi Strong is someone who doesn't just preach, but also lives a life of what she says. So you can really sit back and know and just trust that these are words that are given not just from a book she's read, but what she lives out in her own personal life. Heidi Strong and her husband Ed wrote a book called It Happened. You can get that on Amazon. They also lead a church, a site in Pietermaritzburg of the One Life Church. They are an amazing couple, and Heidi is an inspiration to many women in our life and also in our marriages. So she really is solid gold, and I hope you will enjoy this preach of hers. Take some notes and implement it in your own lives. Whether you are married or unmarried, it is helpful and so good to have this information in our lives. So sit back with your tea or your coffee and enjoy Heidi Strong.
A big and warm welcome and a huge hello to all you ladies who are watching our first Women of Reverence event. Now, I've been asked to talk on how to respect your husbands. Oh dear. The reason why I'm pulling this face is that while I've been thinking and prepping and praying about this topic, I've realized that I've let things slip in that area, that some of my old habits have crept in. In fact, I feel like the little foxes have crept under the fence and are busy eating at my vine leaves right at this moment. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to teach or to preach on this topic, because it's given me a bit of a wake-up call, and I've done a self-audit and I find myself wanting in this area. So my prayer for you ladies and for me this evening is that as I preach, that God will soften our hearts, that we will change where we need to change, and that we will love our husbands in the way that they want to be loved, which is respect. So ladies, let's start with communication. Now this is a biggie. Communication isn't just about talking, it's about listening as well. And that's something I'm not very good at. In fact, when my husband's busy talking to me, I can't wait for him to finish his sentence, because I've got all these wonderful answers and all these wonderful solutions to give to him about any and all of his problems. And that's not what he needs. He needs for me to truly be listening to him and not forming any responses in my mind. James 1 verse 19 says, "Be quick to listen and slow to speak." I think we've got those two muddled up. I think we are quick to speak and slow to listen. Do you know that we can train ourselves to listen? I've been doing it for a very long time, and I don't know how good I've got, but it's something I'm very conscious and really try to become better at it. So that's an area we need to be super fast in, to listen. The area that we need to be very slow in is in speaking. Now ladies, I actually think there's times when we need to keep quiet, when we need to shut up. That's a bit of a swear word in my house. But because we adults here, I'm sure we can handle it for tonight. We don't always need to air our opinions and give our views. So what does it mean to respect our husbands in communication? It means we really pay attention to what they are saying in order to hear them. And this requires us to be patient because many of our men are not very good communicators. And it also means it also means that we need to be receptive, open-minded, and non-judgmental. That's a biggie. Because if a man continues to feel unheard by his wife, he'll feel disconnected from you. And that is a dangerous place for him to be. So appreciate his ideas and his opinions when he tells them to you. One of the nicest things I can say is, I hear you. Nothing more, nothing less, and definitely no buts. Disrespect is when we put words into their mouths or finish their sentences. That's true. And disrespect is when we interrupt. Oh, ladies, that is something we're really, really good at. How awful to be good at something that is bad. And disrespect is also when we raise our voice or we shout or yell or scream like a sergeant major instead of talking kindly. Nagging is also disrespect. Nagging is also disrespectful. It's true. Proverbs 25 verse 24 says, it is better to live on the corner of a roof than to share a house with a nagging wife. Oh my word, there's so much about this. Nagging is a negative behavior that the Bible tells us to avoid. And it definitely doesn't help us when we nag at our men constantly. In fact, I think it puts their brakes on. We can be disrespectful in our body language as well. When we roll our eyes and we huff and we puff, it doesn't break the house down, it breaks down our marriage. Or when our eyes are everywhere else but then on our man. And I think lastly, and so simply, is just remember to smile, and the tone that you use, be careful with, because a lot of men are sensitive to tone, just like my husband. And don't forget to say please and thank yous. I think when we issue out commands, that's disrespectful. But when we add a thank you and a please, it does wonders. Point number 2 is stop being the rescuer. Men do not want our help even if we think they need it. Even if it means they fail or make huge mistakes. They do not want to be rescued or saved ever unless they specifically ask for it. They want to be the rescuer. They want to do the saving. And they take great pride in being our knight in shining white armor who comes to rescue his princess. They don't want to rescue Mrs. Superhero. So when we try and help them, it makes them feel as though we don't think they are capable or that they are strong enough and that we are doubting their abilities. This is quite sobering because as women, we naturally want to help, and it's a good thing, but our intentions are seen to be to them as disrespectful and belittling. And so we need to stop trying to save them. So my point number 3 is stop acting like his mother instead of his lover. Don't you find the more that we act like his mother, the more he acts like a child, and the more he acts like a child, the more you find yourself mothering them, and this is not a good thing. So stop telling your men what to do and how to do it, how to drive, where to park, how to dress, and even correcting them in what they say. This is not a good thing, and it doesn't endear us to them at all. I know in my heart that I respect my husband. Deep down I do. But often what comes out of my mouth doesn't show that in any form. For example, like we get into the car, we're about to go somewhere, and Ed turns on the ignition and the safety belts starts beeping. Now my husband doesn't hear that beep. It drives me crazy. So the first thing I say to him is, please put on your safety belt. And then as we're reversing out, I say, oh, don't forget to shut the gate. And then because we're on a busy corner, I'll say, oh, a car's coming, just be careful before we take off. And then as we start driving, Maritzburg's got dreadful potholes. I'll say, oh, be careful of the potholes. And within a minute, I've given him 4 instructions, which drives a man crazy. And it just says to him that I don't think he can drive. And often he'll just pull over and say, well, you drive then if you think I can't drive. Hasn't that happened to you? Doesn't that story sound familiar? A man, or real men, don't want to be henpecked. And if they feel that they are, they will love us less. And because they love us less, we will respect them less. And it becomes a vicious downhill spiral. So I find that the nagging, the bossing, the organizing, and the instructing is hugely unattractive to our men. And it takes all the fun out of our marriage. Men do not respond well to us instructing them. We should know that by now. And I think it's good to remember that we are not their keepers, we are not their instructors, we are not their life coaches or even their supervisors. And lastly, we are not their mothers. No man wants to feel like a child in his wife's eyes. And no man wants to make love to a mother or a motherly image. So it's really important that we act like their wives, like their lovers, like their best friends, full of fun. And so I want to encourage you to treat your man like a real man and not like a youngster. To ladies, to have fun again, to have fun together, to be his lover. Respect him by showing him that you desire him. Men want to be desired. Men want to be wanted. And respect him by making time for him, making yourself sexy for him, making date evenings important, and planning time for sex, even initiating it, ladies. Be his cherry on his cake. Are you being his critic instead of his cheerleader is point number 4. Boy, do I get this wrong. I'm probably the murderer of dreams. In fact, he said of me that his dreams are just like an aeroplane that is taken off from the freeway when it's blown out of the sky, shot to smithereens, even before it has a chance to fly. It hasn't even got off the ground, his dreams, when I shoot them apart. I don't know what it is about me that I naturally want to caution him, that I want to warn him why it's probably not going to work. Or I say, have you thought about this? Or have you tried it this way? Or I even keep asking the question why. Do you know why is a fighting word? It makes our men put on their boxing gloves, get on the defensive, and it stops them wanting to share anything more to us. It must be so demoralizing and disheartening and even demeaning always to hear that question why. I can remember when my kids were little, and all 4 of them went through the phase of why. You'd say something and they go, why? You give them an answer and then they go, why? And then you'd say something else and they go, why? And eventually I can remember saying, I don't want to hear that word why anymore. I think that's how our husbands sometimes feel when we keep on questioning them why. So let's stop questioning their every decision. It is so disrespectful, and it makes us seem, or we are then perceived as a threat instead of an encourager and a cheerleader, which is what we should be. And always criticizing them and being their critic, which sometimes we think is our new job description, makes them feel like a loser. So the whole world can criticize your man, but we shouldn't. Our job is to blow wind into their sails, to be their greatest encourager, to be their firmest believer. I think we should be the first to buy into their dreams, not shoot them out the sky. In fact, be his sunshine when all else is raining on his parade. Be his cheerleader, his admirer. And then, ladies, it makes our men believe that they can do anything, that they are the superhero. And who doesn't live in an atmosphere of praise? Who can't shine in an atmosphere of praise? And so make it a priority to see and admire their strengths and not to fault and criticize them all the time. I just want to end this evening by saying thank you for letting me speak. It hasn't been easy. I've really battled to speak to a stupid camera that doesn't interact with me and has given me grief because it keeps falling off the platform. And then when I watch myself, I think, oh my goodness, this is terrible. But I've had to just let it go and thank the Lord for this opportunity, and thank you guys. And I'm really praying that some of my sentences, some of my words have struck a chord inside of you, and that you won't be disheartened, but you'll be encouraged to change and to show respect to your husbands in a way that he loves and not the way that you think. And so thank you. I've got a prophetic word for you, which I just want to share with you, ladies. It wasn't such a long time ago that men, if they were wearing a hat and they entered into a house, they would take their hat off as a sign of respect. Or if they were walking in the streets and they greeted someone, they'd take their hat off as a sign of respect. So this is what I think the Lord wants to say to us today. Tonight, I'm feeling that whatever hat you're wearing, God is asking you to take it off. As you know, hats come in many shapes and sizes and colors, as you saw me wearing them. But the hat of disrespect that you're wearing, it's time to take it off. And keep it off and do whatever it takes for it to stay off. Whether it be the critic hat, or the mothering hat, or the nagging hat, or even the hat of indifference. God is asking you to remove your disrespectful hats, no matter how little, no matter how big, or that you've had it on for ages and you're quite comfortable with it, or you've only had it on a short, quick while and it's not yet a habit. Remove it and become the gentle woman that He's created you to be. In fact, the only hat that He wants you to put on is a crown of grace and mercy. That's what Psalm 103 verse 4 says. A crown that is fitting of you, His daughter, a daughter of the King. So be encouraged.
Hello, ladies. We are so excited and privileged and honored to be with you today. We just want to tell you that we are on all social media platforms. You can subscribe on YouTube. Look out for Women of Reverence, Instagram at Women of Reverence, as well as Facebook at Women of Reverence. So please do share, like, spread it like wildfire. Remember, sharing is caring. So if you do care for your friends, for your sisters, for your family, make sure you share with them what Women of Reverence is. Thank you so much. Looking forward to engaging with you on our website, on these social media platforms. Bye-bye.
it's Kaylin Leacock here, and I am so excited to share with you my new interactive Bible study, Ruth, A Story of Redemption. Ruth was actually birthed out of the Bible study that I run personally with a group of young women, and it was my challenge to actually find Jesus in the story of Ruth. And so we embarked on a 12-week journey, and God has been so incredibly faithful. I believe that the story of Ruth was obviously written about a young girl to a specific audience. But for me, I wanted to understand how her story and her life impacts me as a 21st century believer. Are there lessons in her life that I can take for my own? Are there things that Jesus was doing in and through Ruth that he would want me to know? And I think one of the most incredible take-homes that I and my group received out of doing this study was the fact that Ruth was actually the most unlikely candidate to be used by God. She was a woman, so in her day and age, women were not exactly seen as worthy candidates to be used by God. She was a widow and she was a foreigner to the nation of Israel. And yet with these three major things against her, God still saw fit not just to use her life, but to actually weave her life into the lineage of Jesus. And we read about her as one of the women in the line of Jesus, which is just so incredibly encouraging. And so I just want to encourage anyone who does this study to not disqualify yourself maybe because of where you've come from or where you've started in life, but to get a real revelation of the fact that all God needs is a heart that is completely open and devoted to Him, a life that is committed to Him and will trust Him implicitly. I am so passionate about the Word of God. I'm passionate about discovering Jesus through His Word, and I'm passionate about believers today getting a revelation of His love for us in every chapter, in every verse, in every book, and in every story. I pray that as this study finds its way into your hands, that you would fall hopelessly in love with Jesus.